Welcome to the Aegance Offscript Podcast, where we talk to industry leaders who share their stories, insights, and lessons, unfiltered and unscripted. I'm your host, Lawrence, and today we're joined by Suryansh, the co-founder of Zyler AI. Now, Zyler is making waves in the marketing analytics world, connecting fragmented data from Google Ads to SEO to YouTube and more through AI that actually doesn't hallucinate. Their platform is already delivering up to 98% savings in analytics efforts, 300% ROI for some customers, and they've even landed themselves in the product hunt top 10, all on a shoestring bootstrap budget. Welcome, Suryansh. Really good to have you on today.
Thank you so much. Really glad to join you, Lawrence, today.
Yeah, excellent. So I've positioned Zyler AI to a certain degree, but I'm pretty sure that you'd be able to give us a little bit more context around what it is that you do, what are your areas of operations, etc.
Sure. So before what it does, I would like to highlight the story why we did it. So you'll get uh, more into depth as how we spotted the problem and is there even a problem. So I have around a decade of experience in product management and analytics. So I have worked with big companies before, such as Nykaa, which is Sephora of India. Got listed on BSE at $6 billion. So it's quite a big company. And then Civil, it's a mass transit platform here in Dubai. So while I was working with these companies, we always had like a bunch of analysts to analyze our marketing data, our product analytics data. So never felt this problem where, let's say, if a team A or team B wants some data to analyze to make decision, there was a bit of delay because obviously you have finite resources, but it was done. But in my last stint, where I joined a startup, and obviously it was early stage startup, we were putting our budget where it was the most necessary one, like in marketing and product development. We didn't have the budget to set up an analytics team. But when we launched on Google Ads and other platforms marketing, we realized that we are not able to optimize our return on ad spend, and our CAC was really, really high. We hired even digital marketing agencies, but they were not able to provide us the kind of insight that we were looking for. And that was the time when I realized that there are so many founders, even though we had like $1 million funding, there are so many founders who are doing it bootstrap, and they essentially might not be expert on marketing analytics or analytics as per se. They can't hire the expert. So why should they not get the same level of insights that big companies are getting? And at the same time, the AI became mature. So we thought that there must be a better way where you, in spite of not knowing the technical know-how of marketing analytics, you should be able to connect all your marketing channels and just ask questions in business term, and get the level of insight that can really make or break your business. So that's how Zyler AI was born. We have been iterating for last 6 months, and we are about to launch our best version yet after talking to a lot of users, seeing their patterns of usage, understanding the use cases, where now you can literally treat Zyler AI as your analyst. So basically, it remembers whatever you ask, it understands the context, it keeps learning, and you just keeps on asking business question. It turns it into analytics question and give you the actionable insight that you really need.
Yeah, thanks so much for that context. And in terms of your area of operations, where are you focusing at the moment?
So we are based out of Dubai, UAE, but essentially what we realized when we launched on Product Hunt and other places, that the problem is global. So anybody who has, let's say, early stage startups, in fact, we saw it even with some big companies, analysts and marketing managers using our platform. So the problem is global. Uh, Most of our users are from US, Europe, India, and some of them are from the MENA region. Here, essentially, the culture is a bit different. You need to actually meet people and make them understand rather than so the GTM will be very different for this region, but I think the problem is pretty much global because obviously every company needs marketing. Doesn't matter where you are located at.
It's quite a unique name for the company. Is there a bit of a backstory there?
Actually, when we thought about finding a name, we didn't think of it from the emotional angle or something which makes sense, but we wanted to have a name which doesn't have, let's say, any name that you can find in dictionary, so it will be easier for SEO and it can sound as a different brand. So we were just brainstorming and this name came up, and me and my co-founder both liked this name. But only after we actually bought the domain and decided on the name, we found out that there is another company which is much older than us, but not in the same domain. So there's a company named Zyler, which is into uh, they use AI basically in fashion e-commerce domain. So you can basically put clothing on any model using AI, which is a much older company than us. So sometimes what happens, people end up tagging us, thinking that we are that company, and I'm sure that's happening on their side as well, tagging us. So, yeah. So I would say it was more of a decision based on if we can find a name which can be easily marketable.
Yeah, I mean, what are the chances of there being another company called Zyler AI? But at least you're seeing some upside with being at tagged by their audience. So tell me a little bit about being a co-founder and what your vision is for the company in terms of the impact on marketing analytics.
Yeah, so the vision is, so if you see what's happening right now, is people are using social media so much, so they are almost doom scrolling, right? And I'm sure you would have experienced every time you are scrolling and you see a reel which is an ad, you skip. So and based on the research, you only have 8 seconds to make an impact. So the ad has to be as good as 8 second, that it should make an impact in 8 seconds. So every seconds count now. And the problem is that in today's world, where we are analyzing data based on dashboards and reports, imagine how slow the process is. That first somebody sits, first you need to have dashboard. That in itself is a blocker, because you need some developer, some analyst to set this up for you. Then you are looking at static dashboard. So you're watching your dashboard today, maybe comparing it with past data, and then you have to do it for across the channel. By the time you take decision, even if it's like a week old decision, you have already spent a lot of money on an ad which should have been stopped or probably diverted somewhere else, right? So what we want to do is we want people to move away from reports and dashboard, because reports and dashboard were actually made for humans to analyze. AI don't need it. I mean, ideally, our vision is that our AI should be your analyst. So to replace that $75,000 analyst that you will hire, and to reach up to that stage where this AI analyst becomes autonomous. So once you start asking the question, it starts remembering, it starts analyzing itself. And imagine that how your analyst will send you mails when it finds something, right? So you wake up and you see, okay, these are the things that I need to pay attention. So it becomes like your coach, like your analyst. That's the end goal. And maybe in future, what we want is that this autonomous agent should also be able to take actions on behalf of you if you allow. So it can actually switch on ads, switch off ads, also tell you what kind of ad, what kind of visuals are working, and maybe create it also. So that's the end goal, end vision. So basically, we want that your expenditure on the analyst team should go down drastically.
Mm. And have you made any internal shifts that have led to making that vision more of a reality for you?
Absolutely. So what we learned is that this was a journey that we had to take in order to come to this vision. So when we started, we wanted to so we started by thinking that we should create a chatbot, like a chat interface. Then we realized that chat interface might not be the right way to go, because a lot of people who are not very technical don't even know what questions to ask. So we created a version where it was like a co-pilot for you. So you are analyzing the data, dragging and dropping, and AI is doing the co-pilot work. From there, when we spoke to the users, customers got feedback, we came to know that, okay, they don't want to if they are using a tool in today's age, they want result very fast. They don't want to invest that much time to analyze themselves, and AI act as a co-pilot. So then we went one step further. We created something which is known as one click analysis, where there will be templates. You click on those templates, the analysis happens. But then when we spoke to the users again after this evolution, we came to know that they are looking for end-to-end solution. They don't want something which they can plug in their process right now. And that is where the vision came. So we said that, okay, What we will build is will be like a chat interface, but it will be agentic. So it will think, it will analyze, and it will do end to. So the way we want to position the product is that it should be able to do end to end work in future. That's the future. So basically just going completely autonomous. So that's how our vision also changed when we started from the first time till now. Basically, you talk to a lot of users, you see their behavior, and then you decide.
Now, having had a look at the website, you positioned a zero hallucination AI and a unified dashboard, which I think are huge differentiators. What inspired those product decisions and how did you manage the implementation?
The problem that I told you, right, when we started, we wanted to create a chat interface. But when we did some benchmarking, we found few companies and used their product. What we found that whenever we are using any complicated prompt or like complicated analysis, the platform or the tool starts to hallucinate. And in analytics, when you are taking decision, your business decision based on data, you cannot have a product which hallucinates, right? Because if it tells you wrong number, wrong analysis, can really harm your business. So that's why it took us 7, 8 months to come to a conclusion that, okay, this might be the right form where user can ask anything, but to find the solution how this will work. So we are doing it very differently. So most of the people, what they do is they have kind of a data warehouse kind of system where they pull the entire data set. So every time you ask the question, the AI goes and, let's say, scroll over the entire data set tables. Like let's say if you have uh, an entire data lake where it goes, it's try to understand. So the data context becomes too long, and that's where the hallucination comes from. The way we have created is the way an analyst analyze. So for example, if you ask question that, hey, can you give me a comparison between last 7 days and last 14 days session count? A very simple question. The way our platform does it is that our AI tries to break this problem down into smaller data frame. Try to understand, okay, if I need to get last 7 days session, uh, how can I get it? So I need metrics, which is sessions, and I need it across 7 days, right? Same for the 14 days. Then the way an analyst would have done is pull data for 7 days, a different data, pull data for 14 days, different data, and then analyze. So we have an agent whose job is only to turn your business question into analytics queries. Other agent job is to pull this data like how a human would have pulled from APIs. And third agent job is to analyze this data and actually tell. So all the three agents has different job. They have a different system prompt. They have been trained differently to do the job that is required for. That is how we remove this. What do you say, the issue of not having hallucination. And after testing it rigorously for around 15 days, we haven't seen any hallucination. So the worst it can do, if you ask something really complicated, is it might ask you more question to clarify it. It might say that currently I am not able to give you this answer, but it will never give you incorrect answer.
It's super fascinating. So, launching and scaling globally with minimal spend is a big challenge on its own. What systems or operational processes have you leaned on?
So it has been a lot of trial and error. I mean, I come from tech background, and obviously my co-founder is the one who writes code. So he's a pure tech. I'm more product business tech. So building for us was the easiest part, and we thought, like many founders, that once you build, people will come. They will say, "Oh, this is so cool. We'll use it." But it doesn't happen that way, because the most important thing is to crack distribution. If your product is not in front of your potential customer, how will they know that something like this even exists? So once we launched, nothing happened. We hardly had any sessions, any visitors on our website. So we did the hard part of going on Reddit, posting here and there on the subreddit, started giving us some bit of sessions, some bit of traffic, some conversation, mostly organic. So we were around, I think, 15 to 20 sessions we were able to get every day just by commenting here and there and posting on Reddit, on X. But obviously, that was not enough, because we knew that it's not the number that we are looking for. Then we launched on Product Hunt. As you mentioned, we came sixth for the day. That really gave us a great boost. Now, we knew that generally what happens with Product Hunt launch is that you do get a great boost, but then it dies down. And to not allow that, we really worked hard on our SEO. So in the beginning part, for the first 3 4 months, our organic traffic would be like 4 5%, and which was mostly because people were searching for Zyler, getting to know the name from my social media or other places I have posted. But now currently it has actually increased to around 50 to 60% of our organic traffic. Our traffic comes from organic channels, which is search. So we really worked on it. Also, what we did was we got listed on a lot of directory from because of product hunt launch, and we also got us listed somewhere by paying, somewhere where it was free. We listed, so it really increased our uh, the DR rating for our platform. And yeah, and then we started creating some cool content on Instagram, on YouTube, which is not exactly, I will say, about product, but kind of tangential, because people don't want to actually see exact promo of your product, but like use cases, but in a funny way, where I like there's a Gen Z who is our intern is doing the stuff, so people are able to relate more. So these are the stuff that, but it took us like 6 7 months. So now we get around 150 users every day, and we have not spent anything on marketing.
It seems like quite an organic approach that's obviously paid off for you. What would you say is one replicable process you think that other early stage startups could adopt?
I mean, it depends. For example, I can talk about the SaaS startups for now, because that's what I did. Because let's say for an e-commerce, the process might be very different. So what I have realized is that for SaaS startup, is very important for you to go out and talk about it on social channels, be it X, be it Reddit. The best case scenario is that you having a personal brand. Like if you can have a personal brand, a good following across LinkedIn, X, or wherever you are active, if you like to write, then nothing's better than that, because you get automatic distribution. So I would say, if you are looking to start your SaaS startup journey, mostly I will talk about is create a brand, talk about something that you are expert or you are building in, so that you get a following before even you launch the product. You can get a very strong wait list. Also, we had around 120 people on wait list before we launched, because we talked about it, created the interest. And next I will say is that the checklist is that you post on all the SaaS directories, because that is something which is very low effort. Launch on product hunt for sure, work on your SEO. And one more thing I will highlight, which we have not started doing yet, but talking to other founders, is that if you can set up email automation, get some really high enriched data for your core customer, and do a cohort of different messaging, then that can really give you leverage in terms of how fast you can scale without spending a lot of money, because you can do a lot of experimentation and also measure your conversion rate there. So these are the few of the things I would say for the SaaS startups that early stage founder must do the checklist.
Yeah, that's really sound advice. And where would you say, where are your operational pinch points at the moment? Is there anything that you're still trying to streamline?
The feedback loop, right? So one of the things what we are facing the challenge is that obviously you can analyze the data and you can see what people are doing by using, let's say, tools like Hotjar and all. But then if you want to reach out to the customers, the problem is that you obviously mail them that, hey, we want to speak to you, because that essentially decides how fast you can iterate, because you're talking to people who are actually using the product, but they are not direct contact of yours, because then the feedback can be a bit biased. So most of the time, what happens is that you end up setting up a call, but because of some, let's say, they get busy, or like they don't show up. So this is one thing where we are not able to get very fast iterative feedback, which we are trying to solve within the product. Like when you're using, the agent might itself ask you like how ChatGPT does, is it useful? Or we might put some sort of prompt from our side to actually talk about the feedback. That is one of the operation challenge. The second would have been a challenge, but I think because of the age we live in. So my co-founder is in UK. My other engineering team member is in Middle in other country in Middle East, and my intern sits out of India. So we are at four. So basically, we work async, right? So in the beginning, obviously, it was a huge operational challenges because we most of us come from a corporate world where everybody is available at a set amount of time. But because of the time differences here, but I think slowly we learned how to work async. So whenever something is important, we do try to get on a call. Otherwise, we work mostly just based on what goal has to be achieved this week, and everybody goes at their pace.
I think that's certainly a real challenge when, teams are spread across the globe, but also spread across the globe in different time zones. So understanding that, we can't all work 24 hours a day. There needs to be some breaks is um, quite a challenge, but it sounds like you sort of checked that box. I mean, it's impressive that the adoption is global and organic, but I'm interested to understand what are your top strategies for sourcing new clients today?
So see, the nature of our product is falls in a B2C SaaS. So for example, if you are selling a 50, 100 to $100 a month product, then B2B selling is not the right way to go. Because generally, if you go B2B selling route, having an SDR and reach out to them and take like 3 months to 6 months to close a contract, it doesn't make sense because it's just 50 to $100. So what you ideally want to do is increase the top of the funnel part. So as I told you that we are working on our best version yet. So once we launch, we have a plan in place for the next phase. So uh, after doing a lot of research, what we came out to, there will be two things that we'll be doing, along with one thing that we did earlier, which is another product hunt launch, because it's a great global platform to launch new products, to get some eyeballs on, like even product like OpenAI launch. Apart from that, as I told you, we haven't tried the email automation route that will go out. So that is something that will keep on going, where we don't need to uh, look after it every day, because it will be complete automation. The third is where we will invest most of our time and energy is social media, creating great content, the thing that we are doing right now. It can be podcast, it can be, we did one podcast by the way, because you can get to speak to the potential users, get to know their pain, plus also it helps to build the repo where the person might be interested to try the product. And along with that, to create content which can stick, like let's say if you want to go funny way, create funny content, or create informative content in a cool style. But we did a study of one of the YC Combinator company, which was, I don't know if it's in YC or not, but like a recent one, which is Cluely. So Cluely is an AI platform where it allows user to cheat in an interview or anything. So if the interviewer is asking you a question, let's say you're a developer, you are asked a question, the AI will hear that question and it will actually put the answer on your screen. And the best thing is that even if you are sharing your screen, that person cannot see it. Only you can see it. So there is almost no chance of seeing that you are cheating. I know that ethically it's not right, but the marketing technique that they used was amazing. So what they did, they created a lot of content, and they created a uh, lot of profiles. So imagine creating 150 TikTok profiles and cross-posting content, right? So you're already creating a lot of cross-posting using your profile. And because you're posting the same content again and again from different profiles, the probability of one of them going viral increases. And a lot of their content went viral. That is something I see a lot of. It's like a system hack to just go viral and to create that initial push when you post content by hacking the system.
That
I
makes
don't know
sense.
if I don't know if I should talk about that openly or not. Maybe because the platform might fix this if you're not, but yeah,
No, it's a very interesting concept, and I was actually just thinking now, is it a product that you offer? Because there must surely be some companies out there that are desperate to grow their presence online on social media platforms, but they just don't know where to start. So put the ethics of it to one side. It could be a viable product that you guys could include in your go-to market.
absolutely. So the thing is that I told you that one of the nature of our product is that it's also like a coach. So essentially, you don't need data every time to use it. You can ask questions about marketing. You can ask questions about the questions that you have asked me. How can I do a GTM of SaaS? And that is also one of the problem for early stage founders, because a lot of them are indie hackers, right? They are developers who have turned founders. So they have very less idea about marketing. So once they are done, and they love building product, they don't love marketing, which is the most important part. Once you have the product, right? If sales doesn't come, it means you don't have a business, you have a hobby. So this part, if we inject all this knowledge into these LLMs, and like, the specialized knowledge base, where every time you talk about your domain, it can tell you the hacks, the growth hacks. Because the problem is, every time you will go to a consultant or a growth agency, they have not been a founder of that domain. So they will tell you pretty standard stuff. They will tell you, okay, we can do a small budget Facebook ad, like retargeting, or maybe some hacks here and there, some partnership. But because they have not gone through this route, try to find something where you don't have to spend money, still get traffic. It's very difficult for them to give these suggestions. And these are the kind of things that people are actually looking for. And yeah, so I'm really looking forward to actually embed this in our product, so it can help other founders not only to analyze their data, but to reach that point where they have data to analyze.
I think connecting those dots going forward should yield some pretty positive results for you. What have been some of the biggest challenges in terms of converting curious users into paying customers?
Yeah, so one of the things is that people these days, if you're building something in AI, they start comparing you with the other AI platforms, generic ones, right? So the question will come, okay, this is cool, but I can do this with ChatGPT, right? So I have been asked this question by users that, okay, let's say you are getting the data, it's analyzing. Why can't I get the data myself and put it on ChatGPT and ask questions, right? I mean, obviously you can do that, right? But for that, you need to know which data to pull, and you need to know, then upload the data. If you are good enough, right, to do this, you don't need my product, uh, unless and until you're just looking to save time, right? So for us, the what we realize is that finding the actual customers, not users, the people who really need your product, is one of the challenges. Because a lot of time, you will waste a lot of time in convincing somebody who doesn't need your product, who is just curious, is an early adopter, came to try your product, and you're basically talking to them, trying to make them understand the use cases. So once you find the right users, it becomes super easy. So that was the tough part, to find the right users. So what we found is that a lot of solo entrepreneur, so somebody who is running a mom shops, like online, where like small business, maybe doing $5,000 to $10,000 revenue a month, right, has been running for stable business, selling some let's say 20-30 good collection of product. But they don't know anything about data. They don't even, some of them don't even have like Google Analytics implemented, right? So once you educate them, this set of customers, this set of users, tell them that, hey, if you get to know this, once you know these things, your business, which has probably got stuck on, let's say, $5,000 to $10,000 point for last 2 years, you can actually increase it. Then it becomes really easy to sell. So what I have found, identifying your right customer and educating them about this thing, because my right customer is where a lot of ignorance is. If you educate them, what can be the upside, it becomes really easy to sell.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I'm quite interested to understand from you. I mean, identifying the correct customer profile is obviously crucial to a positive outcome. But how do you go about doing that when essentially you're, looking at a name on a spreadsheet or someone's LinkedIn profile? Are there sort of indications that you pick up in your research that suggest to you, you know, client A is a warm lead, whilst client B perhaps a little bit colder, and we can sort of put them to one side for now?
When you're doing your targeting, segmentation and targeting, you can make a lot of assumption. You can make a user persona. And like, coming from an MBA background and working for a decade, that's how we thought. It's all academics. You, once you decide this will be my customer, this becomes my customer, you can go after it. But it doesn't work that way. What we realized, so when we launched, we had a very different user persona. For example, we thought that digital agencies might be the biggest user that they will be really interested because they have multiple accounts. They might not have analysts, but what we realize is that digital agencies primarily don't care about analysis or business impact that much, but rather showing that okay, they are doing stuff. So they want dashboards, they want visuals to share with their client rather than actionable insights. If they just share actionable insight, the client will ask them that how did you get it, and then they have to explain. So then how did we find out is that when we saw the usage of our product, the stickiness of our product, and the frequency of our usage, there we started seeing a pattern that okay, so for example, most of the users who have not signed using a Gmail, let's say if you sign with your company's name, it's very easy for me to take it out, see the behavior of usage from Google Analytics data, that these people have used it for the highest amount of time. These are their emails. Go and check their platform, try to understand the behavior of their platform, what they sell, what they do, the scale of it. Then we were able to come to a perfect user profile who are using our platform the best. And based on that, you create a customer persona, a user persona, you replicate it, and then you try to find the new users on LinkedIn. So, for example, my user persona after seeing this data might read that a solo or a small team uh, co-founder or founder, uh, which does probably five to $15,000 revenue a month, uh, is and spend, let's say, at least $1,000 to $2,000 or $500 to $1,000 a month on marketing. Because if the person is not spending anything on marketing, then it's not that useful. So once you have that, then you can basically use that persona to find the potential users.
That's a pretty sound underlying foundation to finding those warm leads. So you've mentioned that your current team is spread across the globe in different time zones, and assumedly you have aspirations to, conquer the world and grow your footprint globally. Now, scaling is great, but scaling culture globally is often easier said than done. How do you approach keeping the culture of the company tight and keeping the relationships within the company tight when there is a clear distance physically between you?
I think culture, as per my experience, comes mostly by the way you work, because culture is something that you might think of forming a type of culture, but culture is something that comes very organically based on how people work, what kind of people you have in the team, and what they believe in. So sometimes you can't even, like, you can shape it up, but you can't completely control. So what I have seen is that, I mean, it's very early stage, but if you have team members who believe in some vision, if they are, let's say, more so the kind of culture we always wanted to create, and thankfully that's how we are shaping up, is we wanted to have a company where it is very autonomous. People know their duties, they perform it. You don't need much hand holding or any kind of micromanagement, because they would do their job. And so as per me, if you hire the right kind of people, I don't think it matters where they are based out of. And also, Lawrence, if you see today, people are talking about that, and we can see the example that 10 people, 15 people, companies are creating billion-dollar startup. Like if you look at bold replit level, so the teams are getting smaller. So I think it's much easier to create a kind of culture and just hold it like that. If you have a smaller team uh, who believe in the same vision, doesn't matter if they are globally spread, because they believe in the same kind of vision that you believe in. So I mean, and that's what we also have in mind, that at not at any given point of time we want to go above, let's say, 15 people, because then it becomes difficult. If you have 200 people spread across the world, then culture definitely will, like, you don't know how to control it, right? Because there will be more different type of people, they will come with their preconceived notion about how the company should be. But with a smaller group, you can keep everybody closer, you can talk to them one by one, you can keep have one-on-ones every month or every week. So that's how we envision our company to be. And I think AI will actually help. So it also helps in your internal usage, right? So for example, for the same stuff, if you needed five people, now you need only one person,
Mm.
which will allow us to keep the team smaller.
Yeah, I mean, in my experience, I've worked for a handful of startups that have scaled quite rapidly in my time with the company. And I
Mm.
kind of found the tipping point in terms of employee size was anywhere between 80 to 100 employees, and the company culture would sort of diminish quite rapidly once you'd scaled past 100 employees. And I think you raised a very good point there, is that everyone sort of comes into a company at that scale with some preconceived ideas about the direction that the culture needs to take, and the founders start to lose control. The sort of cultural pillars start to lose control because there are just so many voices that get thrown in the pot then. So
And the thing is that if you look at companies which are truly global, right? For example, Amazon or other companies. So what I have seen is that they're different offices in different countries. Like some office in like offices in India might have little bit different culture than offices in US, right? And that's a given because people are from different cultural background. So what might and let's say office in Europe, like let's say if Meta has an office in France, I'm sure it's not very common to call your subordinate or your colleague after work or on weekends. While it's pretty acceptable in India because it's part of culture, right? We can't stop it because the company has become so big. Although how these companies manage these things is that they have uh, four or five pillars or the things that they believe in, like Amazon believe in that the customer should be at top excellence for them, where it doesn't matter what your other part of the culture is, that these four, five things should always be safeguarded in all the offices. That's how they try to do. But in spite of that, obviously, if you move from one country to another country in the same company, you will see that there is a cultural difference in terms of how people do their day-to-day work.
it's a fascinating topic, culture. It's something that I'm very interested in. But given the novel nature of your product, how do you bring your clients up to speed, or how do you teach them to get actionable value quickly?
Yeah, so till now, what we have realized, and that is one of the challenging point I forgot to mention. I won't say it's an operational challenge, but it's more of a technical or like product challenge. Is that remember those platforms, tools where you used to have onboarding, let's say step, or you will get a document or a tutorial video. We tried all that before. Nothing works. Nobody wants to read a document. Nobody wants to see a video. As I told you, the attention span has gone so like it has gone so down that nobody wants to do that. Now if your product, I am opening your product, if I'm not able to understand your product within, let's say, 2 minutes, I will not open it. That's how it is, unless and until it's an enterprise product which your company has bought and now you have to go through the training. If it's a B2C product, we see AI products coming out every other day. How many times we have opened the product, and if you have struggled, you will just close and never come back. So uh, what has happened and what we are now doing is that with this new product, we are making that there is no onboarding. It's so natural that doesn't matter what you do, you will get the result or the output that you are supposed to get because it's a chat. And one of the challenge was that so our chat is different from ChatGPT because in ChatGPT you don't need to connect anything. In our platform, if you want value, you need to connect anything, but we have made sure that even if you don't connect anything, it will still give you value. It will still tell you that if you want to get more value, you need to connect. So for example, if you ask how can I increase my return on ad spend, it will give the answer, but it will tell you that what all channels you are using. If you tell I'm using Meta, I'm using Google, it will tell you that if you connect, I will be able to give you a better answer. Otherwise the answer will be generic, so there is no onboarding. So at no point you will say, okay, how to use this product, I don't know how to use this product, so I'm not going to use it again. This is how we have, like, ideally it was easier 2 years 3 years back where people had the patience to go through the onboarding step. Now they want easier product, so the task of product builders have become tougher to make a very easy product which almost seem like you don't need any kind of training, you just can go and start.
Yeah, that's super interesting. And if we look at Zyler AI from a high level overview, what would you say is working really well right now?
Yeah, so one of the things, so see, why are we iterating, right? We have been iterating, but why are we still on this problem, right? So for example, obviously we have around more than 1,000 users now. We have around, I think, because we launched our subscription very late, like a month ago. So we have around 10 or 15 subscription, and we have stopped pushing subscription right now because, as I told you, the entire nature of the product is changing. So when you are changing and iterating your product, still you are on that problem statement. The only thing that has got validated is the problem statement, which people believe in. Because you are telling them that there is a problem, you are providing the solution, right? And problem statement or is the question, which is problem market fit, is the most important factor. If you're working to solve a problem which is not a problem, then you have a problem because you are trying to solve a problem which is not a problem, right? So that is something that we have seen consistently. When we are going on socials, we are posting anywhere, people are coming and signing up because when they come on our landing page, when they read about Zyler AI, they know that okay, this is a problem. What we are trying to get is product market fit, which is trying to get this to the solution, which is the right solution for this time period. This is the kind of solution, and that is the reason that is one thing that we are very happy we were able to verify very early, that this is a problem which we are solving. Because imagine when we launched, we said that this is a problem and nobody signed up. If nobody is signing up, then your problem statement is correct. If people are signing and not using the product as you think they should use, then your solutioning has a problem. If people are signing using your product but not paying, then maybe pricing is a problem or positioning is a problem.
On the flip side of that question, what at the moment is giving you the most frustration internally?
So most frustration we get is that, see, we are trying to, I mean, very soon you'll see our new version coming out and you'll see like we are trying to, the issue is that the customer and user don't care what stage your company is at, right? You are bootstrapping, you are three people company, or you are, $300 billion open AI. They don't care. I mean, when they will open my platform, see a chatbot, they will expect that it should perform as OpenAI is performing while they have all the resources in the world. The problem is we are trying to solve and create a product which is as good as user wants, comparing to all the today's big companies will, and we are trying to do it with three people team. That is frustrating because obviously we are bootstrapping it, so we have very less resource, still we want to move fast, and that's not easy. Like we have to work for hours on development. We are testing ourselves, I'm designing the product myself because we can't afford the designer, but then you can't say that your design will not be as good as it should be when you are launching. And like few years back it was pretty okay to launch something which is not polished, not good. But now, because you can see so many good products coming out in their first version, they are so good that people's acceptance for product which are not up to the mark has really gone down. Like if you are not getting it right, they will not give you a lot of second chances. So that is a frustration. We don't have that much resources, but still we are trying to create a product which a company with, let's say, tens of millions of dollars would have done.
If you gaze into your crystal ball and you cast your mind into the future, you've obviously mentioned the new version that's coming out soon, but beyond that, what's next for Zyler AI?
So, I mean, at tactical level, what we want to do is that we want to increase the breadth of our product. So right now we are only covering the Google products, which is Google Analytics, YouTube, ads, SEO. But if you truly want to cover most of the marketing channel, we have to integrate all the marketing channel there. So we want to go now horizontal for some time, and then build on intelligence, which will be our biggest differentiator. What we are seeing is that we are using the LLMs that are in the market, right? So you have Claude, you have, and then like fine tuning it, or like using some intelligent engineering. But if we really want to create something which can be very high quality, we have to build our own small foundational model, which will be just for marketing reasoning. Because marketing reasoning and analytics is somewhere where it's not only about analyzing the data, but it's also about storytelling. to be able to make the senior leadership understand. So keeping in mind all the factors that are required for an analyst to know, we will train our small, let's say, foundational model, which might not know anything other than the marketing foundation and analytics, but it will be really great at that, because all these LLMs are trained on the entire world knowledge, but they don't have domain expertise. So you can get 60% and 70% of the work done. But when it comes to that 20-30%, which where you need niche knowledge, that's where it fails. So we want to build our own model, and then it can be deployed anywhere. Like we can deploy it to your WhatsApp, Slack, other people can use. So basically, going from an interface company to an intelligence company where we are just providing you tools for the intelligence, and it doesn't matter how you use it, is our
Mm.
end goal.
Certainly, we'll keep a very close eye on Zyler AI. For the listeners and viewers who want to get hold of you, reach out, make connections, where's the best place for them to find you?
They can find me on LinkedIn. My profile is Suryansh space Jaiswal. They can search me, or they can reach out to me or my email at suryansh@zyler.ai. Happy to talk.
Amazing. Well, Suryansh, thank you so much for a very insightful conversation. It's fascinating. It sounds like Zyler AI is setting themselves up to take on the world. So I wish you all the best with that. Thank you so much for joining us on the podcast.
Thank you, Lawrence. Really loved our conversation.
Cheers, everyone. Bye.